Oh man, here we go, man. Today we got Sauce Walka in the building. First time in nearly 4 years, man. In a really
Ooh-wee!
requested interview, man. We got Sauce Walka back, man. How you doing?
4 years, 4 tears, and many, many more millions than a lot of my peers later.
Man, for sure. I want to say on camera, I really appreciate the support from you at a very early stage, in the Say Cheese brand. You approached me. A lot of people ask me, but you approached me on 6th Street in Austin, and you were like 30 deep. And you were the same person you are right now, loud, obnoxious.
7, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, damn this, about 10 years ago now.
Yeah, hold on, let me finish. So you were very confident at the time, and you had a nice little piece with you, nice little female with you. So I'm like, okay, he must really be doing this thing. So I went back home. I did my homework on you. I went on your Instagram page. You had the big body Benz back then. You had the new big body Benz back then.
I had the current big body Benz of the year we was living in, big body way back then. We was kids. That wasn't even cool. I was riding
Straight up.
S-Class.
So I said, you know what? Now let me go listen to the music because he got the bad women. He got the whip. Let me go listen to the music. So then I went to go listen to the music. 2 weeks later, you welcomed me to Houston with open arms. We was locked in ever since.
Ever since. That's where you got to see the premature Rizzos and Fifth Ward JPs, Gucci P's, you know what I'm saying? All before the Sauce Wave hit the way it hit. You know what I'm saying? It's when I first introduced you to Sancho Saucy. I don't know if you remember, that's when Fat Boogie was still like, one of the bigger artists in Dallas at the time, and you know what I'm saying, Goon Side and shit, I don't know if you still remember, but people pulled up them pictures and showed me, like, when I first came out there to do, it wasn't even an interview stage yet, it was just me trying to put Texas together and bring Texas artists together, and we had Fat Boogie, all the young Dallas artists coming up, DJ.
Yellow Beezy, I believe, too.
Yellow Beezy was there. Yellow Beezy was definitely there. A very young Yellow Beezy. You know what I'm saying? Jumping straight out the Crown Vic or the Camaro, doing what he was doing back then. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Really living what he was rapping about before he started rapping about it. It was a whole different Texas. You know what I'm saying? And I was there at the forefront trying to put the dots together way back then. And you was there too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was speaking this shit into existence, and everybody thought it was a joke, or it was how these niggas screaming this pimping and this dripping and this sauce this and this sauce that. And then it came out into fruition in everybody's face, and they seen it was a real mission.
And even today, it's 2022, and see, people people knew you back then, but in 2014, 15, like I said, everything you was talking about, you were really living, from the bad women to the whips to the money and all that. Back then, it was already in motion.
Absolutely. I came into the rap game like that, like majority of the artists that met me initially, that all started out during the same time that I started out, from the Rich Homie Corns, the 21 Savages, the Migos, Houston artists that came out around that time. Like, this was like after the Propanes and shit and stuff like that. But around the time that I came into the rap game, I never had no CEO. I was never signed to nobody. I never had no sponsor. I never had no big homie. I never had no backing. So when it came to all the money and the jewelry and the traveling and the amazing video shoots with private jets and planes and cars and studio effects, fireworks in the back of my videos, no features and too legit to quit it, pyro effects, all that was coming out of my budget, out of my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Money that I was making off the streets, off the drip. And then I was reincorporating that money and investing it into social media or investing it into, bigger videos or more clothes or bigger images, you know what I'm saying? Doing more of what I was already living like. And that was kind of strange at the time to rappers in the game, because the average rapper was coming in the game as strictly an artist, not an artist and a CEO, not an artist and a leader or entrepreneur of the entire label in which they pushing. It was an artist would be a representation of someone else or another label, and then they have dreams of or hopes in the future to make their semi-label or their crew or they clique or the label that they really want to push blow up after the fact. It was never I'm CMG and then this is my heavy camp. It's always been T itself and CMG the whole time. It ain't never been nothing else. The T is still business. So that was a hard journey, and it was a heavy responsibility on me and the people that around me that was helping me put it together and make it make sense. So it was just like early on when I first started going to Los Angeles and the Atlantas and all of these different cities in America, spreading the sauce, I got a lot of love, but I also got a lot of hate and confusion because people couldn't understand how am I not a drug dealer or a scammer or some shit like that, and I'm having the money and the jewelry that artist CEOs was having at the time. I'm driving in the cars and having the houses that artist CEOs or the average, it just kind of like growing up in the hood. The rap game got the same kind of like stigmatism to it as far as like when you grow up in the hood, people feel like they got 3 different avenues of being successful as a black man. You feel like you can either be an athlete, you feel like you're gonna be an entertainer, or the streets. You know what I mean? So with the rap game and the state that it got to, it become and what it actually still is today is majority of the artists that came in the game was either having an NFL football player, an NBA basketball player, or some professional athlete behind them and putting up the money, making it an easier process for them or making it, more of an understanding. It's something shit that I do for my artists as well, but they take the money from they already having money and then they go take another combined check or momentum or invested interest from a record label. Therefore, all the pressure and all the stress comes up off of the artist and the CEO. I never had those. I never had that slack. It was always the pressure. So it's either you're gonna be signed to an athlete, you signed to a D-boy, you know what I'm saying? Or you signed to somebody that's already an entertainer that's making it even more easier for you to become an entertainer. I didn't have that crutch. So a lot of people hated on me because of that. Or they didn't want to believe that I wasn't signed to nobody. They didn't want to believe it. You know what I'm saying?